Welcome everyone. Thank you for joining me today. I'm Lorna Schumann with the Illinois State Museum. And today we're going to talk about one of the 6 habitats we have here in Illinois. Yes, we have 6 habitats. And a lot of it's because Illinois is such a big place. But this habitat is relatively new. It's called the urban or city or town habitat. And they tend to be really large places. I bet you didn't even think of it as a habitat or realize that if you live in an urban area, a city or a town, you actually live in a habitat. So tell me, what exactly is a habitat? That's right, it's a place where animals live. I know many of you have seen animals around your homes, places where you live, but you didn't realize they were there. So a habitat is a place where animals live, where there is places where there's food, water, and shelter that they can have, but there is also a place where there's lots of animals. And each habitat has its own particular characteristics or things that are in common that you can see. Now, if we look behind me, we can see I have a picture of a habitat, an urban one. This one happens to be Chicago on Lake Michigan. And you can see that there are a lot of buildings, that we see some concrete or walkways, some sitting places, and it's a place where you'll probably see people. But it has some green space, sometimes it has some concrete or asphalt, roads, streets, but it does have all of these in common. And that tells us a little bit about it. Now wait a second, what kind of animals might you see there? Look and see. Do you see any? What kind of animals have you seen in your homes if you live in a city? What animals might live here? Well, today we're going to talk to someone, Dr. Meredith Mahoney, who's a scientist here at the museum, to find out what kind of animals might actually be in an urban habitat. She studies animals. Hi, Meredith.
Hi, Lorna.
You know, we're talking about a habitat today. This particular one is the urban habitat. Could you share with us some of the animals that we might find in our urban habitat?
Sure.
Thanks.
So animals that live in an urban or a city habitat are animals that are used to or are able to become used to living around people, living around our buildings, and living around other places that we've modified from how they originally were. So some examples of those are skunks and opossums. These are animals that are native to North America, and as settlers came and changed, made cities and developed towns, these animals learned to live around people, living around their buildings, sometimes in their buildings, also finding sources of food around the houses and other buildings that people were making. Other animals that live in cities, like the house sparrow and also the brown rat, they've been traveling with people around for a long time. So when people came by ship from Europe to North America, brown rat was on those ships with them, and that's how they moved all around the world, in fact. The same house sparrows were brought to North America, and they decided that it was a really great place, and now we have a lot of house sparrows. So, because they're all very adaptable and able to find sources of food in these new habitats, places where they can live and sleep and have their families, all in this very new and kind of created habitat.
Meredith, thank you so much. That tells us a little bit, but like you said, this is a relatively new habitat that we have here. So these animals must have lived in another type of habitat. What kind of habitat would you have found them in?
Sure. Skunks and opossums are woodland or forest species, so they're used to living in that kind of habitat and living in maybe downed trees or in the trees or in hollow logs, things like that, underground. The brown rat, actually, even though we find them around cities, they also can be found in agricultural areas where there's food. Again, they go where the food is and other types of human modified habitats.
Very cool. So do you think that the main reason why these animals have come to be with us is because they're very adaptable and they actually found out that they could find better food sources around us as humans?
That's definitely part of it, that we leave a lot of food around as waste too. So that's part of it. They're taking advantage of things that we create, but also things that we leave around as well, which isn't necessarily the best for them compared to their natural foods in their natural habitats.
That's really interesting to know. Thank you. So I think one of the things we can definitely learn is to clean up after ourselves so we don't encourage bad behavior. Well, Dr. Meredith, thank you so much for sharing with us today about some of the animals that we're going to find in our urban area. Thanks a lot to you for joining us. Take care.